Hi everyone, this is Billy. I have recently purchased some new variable capacitor made of copper and silver plated. So I thought of creating this new type of loop-based FM radio with this type of variable capacitor that I can find on the Chinese Taobao.com. This one is 40 RMB per piece, and then there is some other cheaper ones, 25 RMB per piece. RMB is the Chinese dollar. I think equivalent one US dollar equivalent to around 6 RMB. So this is the one that I bought. It's 40 RMB. It looks to be silver plated, but I'm not too sure whether it's silver plated copper. It may be some chromium coated copper, something like that. So when I test, the capacitance is between 25 and around 3 PF. I have some spare 3mm copper wire, so I bend a coil, not too big. It's just around 3.5 inches in diameter. So that will fit nicely and match nicely with this variable capacitor. And you see there's 4 fixed plates and 4 moving plates when I start the project. But after I finish the project, I find still the capacitance is still too much. So I use a clamp and took off 1 fixed plate and 1 copper plate. You can build this radio using either the MOSFET 3DQ. This is the diagram. It's the same as all other FM crystal radios. Okay, I've mounted the circuit to a board. This is just a base I've printed using the 3D printer plus the aglet board, so you can see through it. So we have the 3DQ, it's a MOSFET. The G1 gate is connected, this is the G1 gate. G1 gate is connected to the moving plate of the variable cap, which is the ground, also for the circuit. And then the G2 gate here from the MOSFET is connected to the hot end of the coil, which is also the fixed plate of the variable cap. And then we have the source pole of the MOSFET. This is the source pole of the MOSFET, clipped to 1/4 of the turn of this 1 turn coil. This 1 turn coil is about 3.5 inches diameter. And then the drain D pole of the MOSFET is connected to this audio jack that we use to connect to a headphone. And this audio jack, the other end of that connect to the grounding point of the circuit. And there's a capacitor for high frequency bypass. It's around 200 PF. You can choose anything from 80 PF to 200 PF. So let's test it, and we will be able to test what if we clip this source pole to the middle of the coil or to here, and see what's the difference in terms of sensitivity and selectivity. For the antenna, we can also clip into any part of this coil, so you get the best impedance matching. Here's the testing. I hook it up to my Yardley antenna, and let's see how it performs. After the winding, you can measure the total coil length and contract or expand it to the ultimate length you need. We'll be using the same Billycdiy universal crystal radio module as before. If you look at the left side of the diagram, there are two antennas, antenna 1 and antenna 2. If you're using it as a portable device, you just need to connect antenna 1 to a telescopic, that means extensible radio antenna, which is 1.2 meter long or above. If you want to use it in-house, you better have a Billycdiy antenna, those antennas that are used for television set, but there's a special one for radio as well. We can make one yourself. I can show you how to do it. That one has two entry points. First entry point connect to antenna 1, second entry point connect to antenna 2. Antenna 2 is actually the same point as the tapping point for the Billycdiy detector. The coil has total 6 turns. The first 5 turns is connecting in parallel to the variable capacitor, so we can tune the entire FM frequency range. There's a tap after 1 turn from ground that connects to the Billycdiy as a detector input. There's 1 turn after ground that connects to antenna 1. Receiving FM crystal radio is an art, and a fine art. This is the Billycdiy universal crystal radio module we have created before. So the crystal radio module by screwing up the earphone jack screws. Then we need to drill another hole for the variable capacitor. Mount it into the box so it can spin freely. We'll need to add an insulator knob. Otherwise, when we touch the tuner handle, frequency range will be shifted when our hands is moving away from it. Next, we need to drill 2 small holes for the antenna connectors. We have 2 antennas, so 2 holes. Then we'll start making the connections. As you can see, we need a number of copper wires to make the connection. Don't use thin wires, otherwise the signal will be deteriorating. The wire in the middle is the tapping point of the crystal radio module. We connect to the tap on the coil and then to one of the antenna. And then the wire at the bottom is the top or the hot point of the coil and the variable capacitor. Wire at the top is the ground. It connects to the part of the variable cap where it spins, and it also connects to the ground of the coil. I hang a self-made DIY Billycdiy FM antenna over my window. My window is made of aluminum frame.
For educational purposes only. For entertainment purposes only. For educational purposes only.